Hello, welcome back to Hearth and Fire. We are in a new era, season 2, actually, on the podcast. And big news, we are now on YouTube as well. So we'll be back on the YouTube platform for myself and Nick. I think will this be your first time on YouTube, Nick? Is this?
No, I have a YouTube channel. I just don't really post much to it, so you
My
can go
phone's
check
going
out
off.
my various
Major.
miscellaneous videos about stuff, but it's different content than this anyway, so.
Yeah. Well, those watching on YouTube can see our cheesy backgrounds and how I don't really have a green screen. So it looks terrible. I look electric. Um, Anyways, a lot of kind of exciting stuff going on with my company. We've rebranded quite a bit. There's no longer any Protanium Times. It is all Saints Edward Media now. We launched a new news site called saintsedwardmedia.com. News articles, opinion pieces, even poems. And it's been out for... When did I do that? When did I launch that, Nick? Like 2 weeks ago? A week ago?
3 weeks ago? I don't
Was
know.
it that long?
Time is meaningless right now.
That's true. But I know that we haven't recorded an episode since since it all launched, so... But it's doing well. Traffic skyrocketed after my Bobby Schilling hit.
Are you a plant? Are you
Am I a Democrat plant?
Yeah, are you a troll working for the opposition? Is that the case? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
You're not entirely sure, though. It's possible. This could all be a big ruse, guys. We're doing this just to take down a candidate in Iowa. we're really Democratic operatives, and thanks, George. You know who I'm talking about. I need those checks, so keep them coming.
I really just don't like. I really don't like Bobby Schilling for obvious well, for anyone that knows that we don't need to talk about it. Everybody knows. Well, he might come up in today's discussions, but because we're going to be talking about China a little bit. But anyways, I am, for anyone listening or watching, I do need, if you've thought about writing and you don't have any experience, but you have solid writing skills, we are looking for writers for news stories, essays, opinion pieces, and whatnot. So if you're willing to, if you need a platform, I'm willing to not pay you to write for me.
You consider this working for experience, working for exposure. Do you want to expose yourself to the whole world?
Yeah, it is a labor of love. It's a optic-friendly page.
Very
no
optical.
pseudos, real name. The plan is to eventually, make it profitable and hopefully pay everybody. And of course, the OGs, people that are in the beginning, they get first dibs when the money starts coming in. So.
Oh, it's gonna be big. Yeah, you know it. Any day now.
It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge, and we're gonna buy out small newspapers, local papers. It's gonna be great. Like the Washington Times, Washington Post. Democracy dies in darkness.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're really asking that much for it at this point, So, if everyone chips in $5 to our GoFundMe, we can buy the Washington Post.
We do have a Patreon. I'm glad you mentioned that because the Patreon has changed. It's now Patreon/Saints Edward Media, I think. Put the link in the description and everything. Everything has been rebranded. My handle on Twitter is now just at Michael Sisco SE. Facebook page is now Saints Edward Media, so everything's switched. And I think it's a little easier to say and spell than Protanium Times. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think you can stop berating the listeners about not being able to spell.
That's true. The IQ test is gone. The built-in IQ test. So I guess I'll take dumb listeners now.
We will. We'll take anybody at this point. But, please donate to the Patreon. Buy our T-shirts. We don't have any T-shirts yet, but I'll get on that. I'm a designer, so, if you need T-shirts, if anyone out there's looking for merch, just slide into those DMs. Tell us what you're looking for.
We do have a store on the website. However, right now, the only product is a book, The Bowl of Tears and Solace. So we are still keeping our publishing branch. And we do have books coming. We have books coming, I swear.
More books.
I'm writing one. I'm trying to write one when I'm not writing articles.
What about Witkoff? Has he got anything coming down the pipeline?
Well,
he's
I'm not
now a
his
best-selling author. So
I have published some of his poems on St. Edward's. They're actually pretty good.
There you go.
So, but I
best-selling author published on St. Edward Media.
That's true. We should try and ink a book deal with him too. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Talk to him about that. Yeah. Offer to publish his next book for less money than he'd make on his own. with a slight added publicity bonus, maybe.
Yeah, right. I think at this point he's probably, when you're doing the calculation of who's gotten who more publicity, I think he's probably gotten me more publicity than I've gotten him.
Yeah. Though I will recommend his book on the Masons and Their Lies, which is a best-selling book on Amazon in the religion section. So, get informed about Freemasonry and support our boy. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
A righteous man.
I did back when I was on YouTube the first time before the podcast started. I had him on. It's still up on this channel. Basically discussing his book and Freemasonry. I used to be a Freemason. But I'm so tapped out of it now. Like the conversation doesn't even really interest me. But he still talks like he got deeper into some stuff than I did. So yeah, whatever. But that episode's interesting. Did you ever see that when I interviewed him on YouTube?
I don't think I did. No, he puts out a lot of videos, so I haven't watched that many of them.
True.
But we did interview.
We'll have to try and get Jay Dyer
ago.
on this amazing program.
That would be cool if he's willing. We are too.
So, I have found a new. I guess it's not new, but the person I work for, I got a booking. I got her on a cable news channel that I never heard of until we got the booking, and it's called Newsmax, right?
Newsmax TV.
Newsmax TV. And it's got to be the most. It's still normie tier. The commercials are all basically geared towards boomers, like old people commercials. But it's based, and Pat Buchanan is an insider there. And so as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, all right. Newsmax is my new go-to cable news network.
I used to get
streams free on their website and YouTube, but anyways, they're not paying for advertising, so I won't go into that too much.
Yeah.
I saw an interesting piece from Pat Buchanan, which I thought is it kind of brings a new twist to this whole coronavirus thing. Initially, let's see, should I try this screen share for YouTube?
Yeah, why don't you give that a shot? I think a while ago, like maybe a couple months ago, I was watching a little bit of Newsmax late. I think it was on Newsmax. It has Mike Huckabee's show, and he had some guest on who got him a MAGA yarmulke and said they need to go back to. They've been to Israel together already, and they're gonna go over back to Israel. And I thought, you know what, Michael would enjoy this. You might want to. Why don't you close out your Gmail tab there?
Oh yeah.
Close out your other tabs since we can all see that. You're getting some trouble there.
Well,
Not
that's
really.
obviously accidental.
Yeah. Uh,
Did it close? Okay.
yeah, yeah,
We'll keep Facebook up.
yeah.
So this is working, obviously, since you
Yep.
see it. So yeah, this is Pat Buchanan's piece. Are we ready for a new Cold War with China? So when this whole obviously there was a shift towards anti-China rhetoric, which as a nationalist, um, all of a sudden hearing, let's bring manufacturing back from China. Let's end our dependence on them. Blah blah blah. It's pretty exciting to hear, and it was almost like a white pill. It's like, yes, we're winning. The narrative is finally in our hands, right? Well, Pat is like, well, hold up, dude. Uh, this might this might not be what we think it is. And as you see here, Mitch McConnell. Is there a way to like circle on here? No.
You can
But
highlight with your mouse.
yeah. Do you see 57-page memo from Mitch McConnell basically went out to all the candidates, the GOP candidates, I guess the incumbents, with talking points on China and the manufacturing and, you know, painting their opponents soft on China, et cetera, et cetera. When you know Mitch McConnell is pushing it out, something's going on here. It's not nationalism, that's for sure. Um, and as it turns out, the neocons always have a way of finagling their way into never letting a crisis go to waste, I guess, as we could say, which looks like, this is just another way to prop up the forever wars with China.
Well, yeah, you can post a link to the article. It's a good article, but yeah, I mean, it talks about another Cold War with China, basically, and if we're ready for that. And the interesting point what he points out really is there's all these countries that China has influence over and is nearby. We are basically paying for their military if they have one. We're stationing our troops and our aircraft carriers near to China, and do we want to foot the bill for all these countries? Alternatively, do we want to let them fall into further Chinese power? But we saw how that went with the Vietnam War, and so I would say, yeah, let's kind of stay out of it. But I do think that China versus the U.S. or versus the entire West is going to be more and more an issue. I'm kind of worried. He didn't talk about this, but I'm worried about the prices of technology. We're so dependent on China for so much manufacturing. And, of course, I do want to see a lot of that come back to the U.S., but we're also going to have to be ready to pay, I don't know, twice as much. I mean, think about, computers have gotten very cheap and powerful. I just put some money into mine because the market is not going well. If you need a new computer, it's not a good time to buy it. The prices are going up, supplies are going down, and we don't have a lot of that manufacturing here. And you can just imagine that, if you have a $800 computer from China, it would probably cost you twice that much here.
Yeah, but
So.
I guess here's the question. I mean, if the manufacturing is actually brought back here, the price, yes, it would be maybe higher because we'll be paying, like humane wages to Americans. But we also get the benefit of no Chinese spyware, you know?
True. I do think it would be good for our security to have more American manufacturing. And as things get more fully automated, I've seen warehouses here in the States, and the way they can maintain profitability and competition with foreign goods is through mass automation. So while we will have people being paid better, we're not necessarily going to have a ton of jobs at these warehouses. They're not going to be run like sweatshops. They're going to be more like manufacturing already is here, or in Europe, where as much of it can be done by robots as possible. And we are also a leader in innovation for that kind of stuff. So, I saw a good video on fully automated robot pizza, and as someone who's worked in the both of us have worked in the pizza industry. It's a startup in Silicon Valley that is doing, obviously they have delivery drivers, but the pizza goes into a machine. You put in your order online or through an app, and then they have robots that actually do all of the, putting on the ingredients, the sauce robot, and it's very customizable and very consistent. And then it goes into special design. They've designed every aspect of it, from the machines to the ingredients to the trucks and everything. And so, we will find a way to compete, I'm sure, if we are forced to. But in the meantime, we're probably going to see shortages and price hikes on everything tech related. So I guess if you need new computers or phones or anything, you might want to be buying them up sooner than later. Use some of them Trump bucks.
Yeah. But, back to neocons leveraging everything for themselves. I mean, for decades we've had, these politicians, Republicans, Democrats alike, but especially the Republicans, supporting free trade and normalized relations with China for decades. People like Jim Jordan, which I like Jim Jordan. He was pretty solid during the, but I'm pretty sure he was also a free trade guy, as recent as 2014. Mitch McConnell, of course, like he's as establishment as they come, but he's basically the establishment Republican Party boss. Then you get like Senator Tom Cotton. I don't really know what he supported before, but he's one of the ones on Fox News constantly babbling about China now, in the wake of this. And of course we have Bobby Schilling, who 3 times voted for free trade deals that ended up sending American jobs overseas. And one of those was Senat, I can't remember how to say it, but one of them, right out of his district, left for China, and China gave that company a free plant to bring them over there, and Bobby Schilling did nothing. And after he was in office, he became a consultant for immigration, and he would basically consult for real estate transactions from Chinese companies to purchase real estate here in the United States. One of those companies is a glass company in Ohio, and I wrote an article on this, of course. If you Google Bobby Schilling China, it is the #1 search result. So just Google Bobby Schilling China. I'm very proud of that's the #1 result, search result. When I go to post an article on St. Edward's Media, I'm the editor, just so you guys know. Editor-in-chief, my big life accomplishment. There's like this search engine optimization thing where I'm trying to get the right keywords, and it always gives me a bad score. And it gave me a bad score in that article. But it's #1 when you type in Bobby Schilling China.
Well, there you go.
So how bad can it be?
Well, I think, not a lot of people talk about, I mean, until you met him, I'd never heard of Bobby Schilling. I would imagine most people outside of Iowa don't know who Bobby Schilling is.
Illinois and Iowa.
Yeah.
Because remember, he's a carpetbagger. He moved from Illinois to Iowa specifically to run again because he lost twice in his old Illinois district.
Hey, if you can't beat him, join him. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of these smaller politicians they don't get any coverage. Obviously, the cable news is 100% Trump all the time, and it's, they talk a little bit about Pelosi and Mitch McConnell and, some of the other big people in the White House, but there's very little scrutiny and coverage given to keeping our local politicians accountable. And of course, if we don't have good people at the bottom, we can't expect to have good people at the top. So it is important. And yeah, the research you did on that was interesting. I wouldn't think that a man of his stature would really have a whole lot to do with China or business dealings with them. But of course, if you're a politician, then, most likely some dark money got you there. But
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It just seems I can't, I don't have any proof of this, but it seems like an awfully weird coincidence. And this isn't just Bobby. This is other. When you vote, you have a pattern of voting a certain way, and then you immediately, when you're out of office, have a gig that seems to be a reward for how you voted.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's what it looks like. I can't I have no solid proof that somebody came up from China and was like, oh well, if you vote for this, we got this cushy job for you waiting when you're done.
Yeah. Well, it is certainly suspicious, and it's I think more than suspicious. If you don't know exactly what the full extent of it is, but you can say he has relations with China that are not entirely kosher.
Yeah. Of course, there were some very people angered by that article, but whatever, it's all true. So,
hey, if he wants to change his stance, he can. He's mad because you found him out.
Well, that's the thing. His rhetoric now is anti-China, but only because that's what that's the given talking points. It's just grifter. It's just a grifter.
Now, is his opponent any different when it comes to China? Does she have any dealings with China?
She's a Iowa State Senator, Marionette Miller Meeks, so she doesn't really have a record that would, I don't think, it's not like a state of Iowa can be offshoring,
Mm-hmm.
They don't really sign free trade deals because that's not exactly constitutional. But no, she doesn't really have a record. I've heard. I gotta be honest. I don't like her either.
I know.
I don't like her either.
That's the thing. Is there's no one running who is necessarily better.
Not in that district. No.
Yeah, and I mean, and I would imagine that I doubt the Democrats are any less favorable with trade with China. So, I mean, that's sort of the problem with the neocon and neoliberal world order that we've got here is that, either way, you vote for one or the other, and most of the time it doesn't matter. There's some exceptions, but most of the time, there's plenty of other issues where there is a difference in the parties, and I'd say, vote for life, vote for, the social issues that matter in this country. And maybe we'll see some change there, though the Republicans haven't done a great job with that. But
I will say this. So I put that article out about Bobby, right? I do think that Marionette Miller Meeks would be, I don't know, I'm not confident enough to say that she would be any more or less America first, quote unquote, than Bobby, right?
Yeah.
But I will say, Bobby, if you are a one-issue voter and pro-life is that issue for you, Bobby Schilling is the obvious choice. He does have an extremely solid record with voting pro-life. He has been endorsed by National Right to Life before. Marionette Miller Meeks, they just released a video of her saying that she's pro-choice, even though she's been denying that. And she said that she misspoke, but it's literally a 2-minute clip of her explaining why she's pro-choice to some lady.
That's pretty damning.
And yeah, so I mean, I'm torn, honestly. I do think Bobby is a freaking phony when it comes to the free trade. I think he's, I don't know, are you going to vote against your livelihood or You're gonna vote? Are you gonna vote for that
Like
one issue? I don't know.
literally
It's
vote
tough.
against lives. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It is almost always choosing the lesser evil, but at some point, I understand when people get
I'd
disillusioned and they
almost,
don't want to vote anymore. But
I would almost rather just Rita Hart to win the Democrat, just so that we can like somebody good can run in that district in 2 years. I don't even live there anymore. I only lived there for what, 3 months, and I feel so attached to it.
yeah, well, that may be the better thing sometimes. Oh, it's a cool
Yeah,
water bottle.
go. I'm still technically a resident. Maybe I'll just not transfer to my current state that I reside and do an absentee ballot and vote for Rita Hart. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I can't do that.
yeah, that might be a little silly, but no, it is a tough spot, and really, what I think, you know, watching some undisclosed candidacies, I am inspired that we can get grassroots candidates. I think young people on the right and the left are incredibly disillusioned with the system. I know that everyone who supports Bernie is obviously pissed about Biden winning, the second time. I won't say that Bernie necessarily got stolen from him, but well, he didn't get it. So I understand they're disillusioned. A lot of them, I think, won't be coming out to vote in November. Most of the young Democrats I know were Bernie supporters, and I don't think any of them like Biden. So I think Biden's going to get the Democratic boomer vote. And the young people are probably going to stay home. Most of them are not going to vote for Trump. They hate Trump, but they hate Biden just as much, really. He's no better. So, they might vote third party, but that won't.
Yeah.
So I think, really they've given Trump the victory here. We'll see come November, but the Democrats screwed themselves
the Republican
over.
Party. This is what I think the Republican Party made a miscalculation. And I mean, aside from Trump, the trend has been to basically liberalize socially while still maintaining fiscal conservatism. And this is what we see with, Charlie Kirk, the Charlie Kirks of the world, right?
It's libertarianism.
So they decided to compromise on the wrong things, in my opinion, which basically has made them irrelevant. The Republican Party has lost its relevancy. They think that, if we accept gay marriage and whatnot, then our the young people will vote for us. The liberals, we might get some liberal votes, but that's
Nope.
that's just not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen.
Not gonna happen. And so,
If they have to call you a racist
out.
for your tax policy, they will.
It's true.
Yeah.
So, what we need to see, if the Republican Party wants to regain its relevancy, is, reassert conservatism, socially conservative, but let's go after, why don't we abandon this whole America Last stuff, which is basically fiscal conservatism and free trade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's go after the people that don't have representation anymore, which is like the working, like union workers.
Yeah.
They're social conservatives. The Democrats are basically destroying their livelihood by pushing this whole, renewable energy thing, because the trades rely on fossil. A lot of them rely on fossil fuels. But these dudes have been voting for their pocketbooks, but then getting drag queen story hour, and this is where the Republicans, if they want to survive as a party, that's the people that they have to bring in. These social conservatives. But
Well, I think that's how you're going to
they
get.
don't have, the Democrat Party does not represent them.
Yeah, and you're also going to get a lot of black and Hispanic voters that way, Asian voters, who, a lot of them are socially conservative, but they will, I don't know how many will switch over. And actually, there's so much propaganda out there that just the idea of voting Republican for most people is such a turnoff that they wouldn't do it. But when it comes to actual policy, I think you could win over a lot of disenfranchised Democrats easier than you think. Hopefully, and also I've seen that the new left, the young people on the left, while they're socially very radical, tend to agree with a lot of Trump's policies. I mean, a lot of the things that Bernie was talking about, Trump did. He ended the TPP. A lot of the young people on the left want to see American manufacturing come back. They want to see, better wages. They're okay.
Yeah, they want open borders too.
Well, that's where they might be misguided. But that doesn't mean that they don't want their jobs to be devalued. They just don't know that that's what's happening. They want open borders because it's nice and tolerant. What they don't want is a bunch of, they don't want their jobs to be meaningless. That's the main complaint. That's what Bernie talks about. That's why they advocate for socialism. And I think we're sort of seeing a sort of meeting point where, I know Tucker sort of led the way on this somewhat, as well as, people like Nick Fuentes and the America First crowd. Trump obviously did a lot of this. But when it comes to sort of social programs to benefit the average American, I think we're seeing more people on the right are okay with a certain amount of that. They're less libertarian economically, but they also want, more. They want basically the opposite of what the establishment Republicans are, and most young people on the left want mostly the opposite of what establishment Democrats are. Obviously, there's disagreement between the sides on social issues. That's going to continue. And a lot of it's just rhetoric and propaganda. But when it comes to what people want, they want higher wages. They want to be able to have families. They want to buy houses. They don't want to be in debt forever. And even if they like the idea of globalism in one way, nobody really likes the, hegemonic global capitalist system that we've got now. It's not benefiting the American people, and it's not really good for anyone. So I think we are going to see a sort of emerging kind of third way, I guess. And people can and should fight about social issues, I guess. But we might see some more agreement between what Democrats and Republicans want too.
Yeah, I did recently see online an undisclosed politician that we won't mention described as a right-wing Bernie Sanders. So you might be onto something.
Yeah, I think his name's Donald Trump. Yeah. Maybe not. But Trump did break with the Republican Party in a lot of those free trade globalist issues, and so did Bernie. And both of them had a lot of flack from their parties for it.
Yeah, it's true. I know you sent me a video. It was an April 9th video of Laura Ingraham talking about the COVID-19 deaths. And how there's some loose criteria and maybe even some incentive to label some of these devs as COVID-19. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. Man, I forget his name. Do you want to pull up the I sent you an article after that. If you want to pull that up on the screen. I forget the doctor's name. I think it's
Dr. Scott Jensen, but I can pull it up.
Yeah, that sounds right. It was Scott something. Yeah, who is from Minnesota. And
that working?
I don't see it yet.
Oh,
okay. Yep.
Let's see. I think it's this one.
Yeah, it was from USA Today. I thought it was interesting because I don't. USA Today is not exactly a right wing paper. And I think that so many of these, it's one of these fact check articles. But the interesting thing I thought about was that the fact checking conclude that everything that they said on Fox News was correct, which I thought USA Today would probably not say that unless it was actually true and they had to.
Hang on one. Departing my chair.
Yeah.
Back into the space chair here. I was getting my internet thing a little closer. It seems to
Okay.
be.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Hey,
still
that's
have
not it.
dial-up. It's the wrong article.
Oh, here we go.
Anyways, yeah, the video was, they had I think he's a senator from Minnesota and a doctor, and he was talking about the incentive to inflate the COVID-19 numbers because they are getting Medicare money for it, and they get, now they said that, I'm not sure how all these systems work, so but they said that Medicare will pay hospitals $5,000 for pneumonia patients, but they are paying a premium, $13,000 to hospitals for COVID-19 diagnosis, and $39,000 if they require a ventilator, which that kind of scares me too. Obviously, if they're inflating their numbers, which is not officially what the CDC recommends. However, they did say that you can, that the CDC did say if you have reasonable confidence that they had COVID-19, you can put that down on their death certificate. They said to use judgment. They're not, just telling people to put on everything, but they can, according to the official recommendations, if they have reasonable confidence, which means people untested. They could be dying of something, dying of pneumonia. The doctor says they have reasonable confidence they had COVID-19, but they didn't test them. Obviously, that's kind of a problem. But when there's money involved, that reasonable certainty is going to be a lot more limited. So they're gonna want to just put people on there if they can, if they're getting funding for it, and hopefully doctors are doing the right thing and they're not inflating their numbers for no reason. But they could be. There's money in it, and where there's money, people do things, and the superiors at the hospital may be telling people, hey, you know what? If you think it might be likely, let's do it. Let's get that bigger check.
Here's my thing. Why wouldn't they?
Well, yeah.
Because
the only thing standing in the way is their morality.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, it is, but because basically they've shut down the hospitals to pretty much everything except for COVID-19. So their income revenue is shot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, I don't even know if it might just be their only way to survive. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. And I
think
they
get an additional $39,000 from Medicare if the person goes on a ventilator.
Yeah.
So if it was the difference between paying my my nurses and my doctors to stay open and serve the community for whenever this ends, I might just be putting everybody on ventilators.
Well, hopefully not. I mean, the scary part with a ventilator is that you have to be put into a coma. You have to be drugged up, and then they have to stick a tube down your esophagus. And when you wake up, there's no guarantee that your brain will be the same, that you won't suffer brain damage from it. You will pretty much always suffer some amount of throat scarring and damage. You could have damage to your voice, damage to your lungs. You're going to have scarring and possibly pain. You could be brain dead. You could be, it's bad. And now, people who need that as a life-saving measure, that may be the only option. But if you have a nurse saying, hey, it's getting kind of bad, we're just going to put you on a ventilator, and you don't really need it, are they going to be liable for... They're not. They're basically not going to be liable for it. If you suffer brain damage, what are they going to say? They can say, well, if he didn't go on it, he could have died. But do you know for sure? You can't prove that. You can't prove whether or not they would have died. and you could be giving people brain damage. You could be killing people. A lot of people who go on ventilators don't live, which those are extreme cases where they might probably not have lived anyways. But it really has to be a last-ditch effort if they need it, and most of them won't make it. So the idea that we're just going to stick a whole bunch of people on ventilators, well, could be a big, big mistake. And it might be fine for the hospitals, but what about the patients? What about their families? Do you trust the nurses and the doctors to only act within your best interest? I don't know. If their jobs are on the line, if their money's on the line, they might be willing to stick a tube down your throat when it's not fully necessary. Hopefully not. They take the Hippocratic Oath, but do they live by it? I don't know.
Yeah. I think we should bring less guests on from now on. What do you think? Yeah. Less guests?
I don't know. We could. If we have, as long as we have things to talk about, sure. I like the guests.
Let's just be really snobby. Like, we don't bring guests on the show anymore. We only did that for our first year.
Yeah, we're beyond that. We're guest free now. Hey,
I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, the guests are good. They're really good.
Yeah. Yes, they're good. I'm trying to get Klasik back because now she lost her race, so free time,
Yeah. That would be good. I'm still bummed that we lost the episode with Vincent James. I hope he comes back after. It wasn't really our fault, but it doesn't really look good for us either. It was nice enough to come on the show and we lose the episode. Well, we didn't lose it. It was Skype's fault, so you can blame Microsoft for that. They didn't want you to hear all the red pills that were dropped that evening.
It's true. Well, whatever. We have a mystery episode out there, the lost episode with Vincent James from the Red Elk.
You can imagine
I appreciate the fact that he was cool enough to just bother coming on with us.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So
it's very cool. I'm glad I got to hang out with him, even if the audience didn't. You can go check him out on YouTube, though.
Yeah, it was a good discussion. It would have been a great freaking episode too, but. Mm-hmm.
It's our loss, not his, but it is our loss.
Yeah, I'll try and reschedule, and we'll get that worked out. Man, every time I talk, I see my teeth blue now with this green screen.
I know, it's pretty hilarious. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah, exactly. You got the desk in space. It's very classy.
We should never change this. I wish the podcast listeners could see.
Yeah, well, you'll have to go check it out on YouTube.
Give
us that
Saint
extra
Edward
play.
Media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Yeah, I might have to invest in a real green screen, but
I think I will. I don't know. This is kind of nice.
It's kind of it's kind of entertaining. Yeah. It's really very cool. I don't know really how it works or what it's deciding to crop out, but it's very weird.
I think it's better than actually pretending to be somewhere else. Like, it's just so obviously fake that it's better than.
Yeah. It's for your amusement.
And it hides the things where I look like I'm in a shower behind me. So.
Yeah, it hides your shower curtains. We all know you can't afford a real studio, so you rent out a public bathroom.
Yeah, It is what it is. But hey, let me see if I can pull up this YouTube of the I closed the tab, so it's gonna take me a second. But
yeah, so what's all this about murder hornets? I really haven't been paying any attention to it, so
I saw it on Tucker the other night. It's like, this is the next plague, basically.
I mean, are we in the end times? I don't know.
I think we definitely are.
Yeah. You can check out my album Revelation, coming soon, about Revelation.
Let's see.
It's
YouTube.
Gonna be good.
Should be in my history. It was like the last thing I watched.
Are we allowed to play clips from other shows? I guess so. I mean, everyone else does it on YouTube, but It's not
It
like we're
should
making any
be.
money off this anyways.
How long do you think we'll actually make it on YouTube before we get banned?
Oh,
Have-
it all depends on how spicy we want to get. We could be, you know, we could sit comfortably in obscurity for a while, but
Oh, hey, we can watch. You want to watch Witkoff
yeah,
live
there's
stream?
he's on live. Can we can we not live stream his
Unplanned,
live
but we
stream?
can mess. We can.
Yeah, tell him we're
Sunday
recording
goes
an
live
episode.
the longest talk. My talk with Jay Dyer and Father Deacon Ananias.
Look, he's jacked now. Look at him.
I know, dude. I was
Great
yeah,
conversation.
no homo, but he's looking good.
Hang on, let me turn his volume down.
Both at 5 years ago. We lived basically the same lifestyle, except I traveled.
Ah, why can't I turn his volume down?
I learned new languages just to fornicate, so we
Just-
had a level of dedication
Just turn him down on YouTube. Oh, there you go.
fine in that way.
Yeah, I did.
Hopefully now, dedication to Christianity.
Is that a good volume?
I can hear him a little bit. Yep. Say hi to him. Yeah,
I don't know why I get such a kick out of this.
We're recording an episode and watching your live stream, which will not be live by the time this is published, so it's completely irrelevant.
What should I say to him?
Tell him we're recording an episode live now, and we're watching his live stream on our show. This is how bad our content has become. We're watching someone else's live stream in the middle of our episode. This is not productive content. So, you know, if anyone's out there, thanks for sticking around. We're gonna
Whatever.
talk about
This is
murder
gonna be what the
hornets.
next year is like. First year over of Hearth and Fire.
Yeah.
Second,
Welcome to
second year we're just gonna be shit tier political commentary. That's all we're gonna be now.
The worst political commentary on YouTube. We are the shitpost channel. Well, that's why we have such a dedicated audience. They know we keep it
Dude,
real.
his channel's huge now.
Yeah, how many people are 30 watching now? No, that's nothing much, but hey, 1.64 thousand subscribers. Not bad, brother.
His show's only been going for a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think this is a new channel. I think he was doing some stuff before, but
Yeah, well.
he's blown
Let
up.
us
for sure.
let me find the what
Yeah, I
I
wanna-
actually came here for.
I
So
want to talk about bees.
about murder bees.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
so
jeez.
do they actually kill you? Are they?
Yeah, I think so. So they've been here since around the same time in December, actually.
Okay, so we already have them. So we don't need to freak
Yeah.
out about it? Okay.
So I guess we'll just watch and then we'll comment.
I have an electric fly swatter.
You might
It's
have noticed the
kind of
Hang
small
on,
for
what's that?
hornets. I said I have an electric fly swatter, and it's probably small for hornets, but if I need to go out of the house armed for bee defense, I might need to get a bigger one, though. I need like a giant taser. It's like a tennis racket taser. I think I need a more powerful one. This runs off like a single AA. It's not enough amps to kill a giant hornet.
Dude, these things. I was gonna buy a bee suit, and then I found out that these things sting through the bee suits.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
What do they have?
So,
Oh, let's just watch the
but
video.
this is apparently the next plague. So what I want to know is how these things got here. But let's watch the
Can we get
video.
to frogs already?
That's next. The poison
Yeah.
frog.
Oh, poison frogs. I don't want poison frogs, man.
All right, here we go.
recent buzz about a certain particularly worrying insect that goes by the charming nickname murder hornet. These unsavory creatures were first spotted in the United States in December 2019. And unfortunately, the nickname is not just a hyperbolic, wacky pro wrestler moniker.
Asian giant hornets, or what are also being called murder hornets, have been found in the U.S.
The hornet we're talking about is the Vespa mandarinium. This monstrosity can grow up to 2 inches long, and bee breeder Susan Kobe of Washington State University's Department of Entomology describes them as, quote, like something out of a monster cartoon with this huge yellow-orange face. There have been 4 verified sightings of the Asian giant hornet in Washington State, and a further 2 in Canada's British Columbia. Luckily, Ryan Boyan of Washington State's Department of Agriculture has told Time that officials are addressing the situation with an aggressive outreach and trapping campaign. So hopefully our near future doesn't include too many murder hornet swarms. Still, it's probably a good idea to bone up on these things just in case. Here's everything you need to know about the frighteningly named murder hornets. If you see an Asian giant hornet, we have good news and bad news. The good news is that they don't seem to actively target humans. However, the bad news is that if they do decide to sting you, you're in for a world of pain. Even beekeeper suits can't stop their stings, which are bad with a capital B. Conrad Berube, a beekeeper who was stung around 7 times while getting rid of a nest, described the sensation to the New York Times as the most painful sting he's ever experienced. And he's been stung a lot. The sting is said to feel a bit like hot metal being injected into your body. Oh, and of course the murder hornet sting is potentially lethal, though that can be said of any sort of hornet venom in sufficient volume. This particular venom includes a heaping helping of neurotoxins, and while one sting won't end your life, enough of them might. Furthermore, these being hornets, they're able to sting multiple times without dying. This is not a theoretical scenario either. Reportedly, murder hornets kill as many as 50 people in Japan every year.
I can definitely see that.
Don't touch it!
I'm not gonna touch it. This one should run home.
Don't touch it!
Sure, the murder hornets are no picnic for humans, but for honeybees, they're a true terror. The Asian giant hornet neither uses nor needs its venomous stinger to deal with bees. For them, it sports a pair of mandibles that are powerful enough to sever the head of a rival. When Asian giant hornets enter a beehive, they go into what's called their slaughter phase, where they use their mandibles to decapitate.
Slaughter phase!
It takes just a few of the murder hornets to completely annihilate a honeybee hive within a few hours.
Oh my
After
goodness.
the awful deed is done and the murder hornets have overtaken the hive, they're somehow still not done. Instead, they start happily collecting the bees' thoraxes and flying them off as a feast for their young. Now that we know murder hornets are awful for humans and bees alike, what can we, or for that matter, the bees, do about them? Quite a lot, actually. As mentioned earlier, the WSDA is keeping tabs on the situation, trapping and tracking as sightings emerge. For this purpose, experts urge everyone who sees Asian giant hornets around to steer clear of them, and to be sure to report their sightings instead of attempting to get rid of the invasive pest by themselves. This is a fight best left to the professionals. As for the bees, it turns out that some of them have already figured out the way to deal with the murder hornets. As Mike Baker of the New York Times tells us, some bees have figured out that they can't match murder hornet size and strength, so they employ a sneaky tactic where hundreds of bees swarm the hornet, trapping it in a living bee ball. These bees then basically cook the hornet alive by vibrating in unison, which raises the ball's temperature to over 115 degrees, which the bees can survive, but the hornet can't. The tactic takes up to an hour, but it works. Unfortunately, at the moment, only Japanese honeybees seem to know the trick, having developed it over many generations. Here's hoping that Western bees don't have to learn this survival method the hard way. Check out one of our newest videos right here.
Wow.
Alright.
That's pretty bad. Well, at least it does not like a one hit kill. You know?
Yeah, so but it can
Can kill you.
sting you twice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you I think if you were taking out a nest or something, and that one dude said he survived 7 stings.
Gee.
Well, did he? Yeah, I think he said he was stung 7 times. Yeah, I mean that's so it might take a lot. Probably depends on the size of the person, and I mean if you're old, it could be bad. I don't want killer bees. No, nobody wants that. Hopefully, I mean, at least they're on the west coast in Canada for now, but yeah, I hope we can get that under control. Otherwise, I'm gonna go around carrying my special bee zapper everywhere. I'm gonna smack this.
Well, here's the thing. I think the bigger threat here is not the because in Japan it sounds like only 50 people a year die from these things.
Yeah, but our honeybees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the real threat, is the threat to the bees.
Yeah, and we've already had, colony collapse disorder and stuff for a long time. I think that is... I think that they figured out some ways to slow that down. A lot of it was pesticide related, so I don't know if they changed
Really?
some of the pesticide formulas. Yeah, I think it was the neonicotinoids in Roundup and stuff that were killing bees, and I don't know. It's something I
You
worked
ever
on
thought
in high
of
school.
beekeeping?
Not really, but I was a bee activist. A long time. I'm serious. We were a local bee. We didn't really get very far or make any big difference. We just kind of held a couple of talks and gave out some flyers about bees, saving the bees. Yeah, it was fun times. But it was really scary. I mean, 10 years ago, I was worried that, like, we're not going to, at this point, well, I basically already figured the world would be over by now, and it's not. I mean, maybe it's starting to be. Who knows? But I didn't think we'd make it that far. I think by 2009, I thought the world would be pretty much over. We would hit peak oil, the bees would be gone, and basically I would have no future. So I didn't really plan for my life past 18. Here I am at 29, so I still haven't planned anything. But yeah. So I think the bees did not go extinct. They're still alive today. People have been sounding the alarm for a few decades now, and I hope that they've figured a way to fix that. But if we have murder hornets too, they're already struggling. And if we lose our honeybees, we lose basically like 80 to 90% of our food supply. We'd be left with very few things that don't require pollination. All our fruits and a lot of vegetables would be gone. So we might have like grains. Not much.
How did these things get here?
The murder
That's
hornets?
what I want to know.
Oh, the Chinese shipped them to us. That's,
Really?
well, I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying that. But I know it's probably definitely true. Yeah, it was probably accidental. Shipping containers, we ship a lot of stuff. And bees, if you have some bees that make their way into a cargo container and then they go lights out for a few months, they hibernate or something. Bees are pretty hardy, and they can kind of hibernate, and they can, right here where I am, in Maryland, I have lizards from the Mediterranean. I've caught many of them, and they seem to like my house for whatever reason. We have them in the house, we have them outside the house, and I had to do some Googling. I posted some photos on Reddit at one point, and they said they're Mediterranean house geckos, and they are absolutely not native to North America at all. And they're also, we don't even have a very good climate for them. But they've been here for at least the last 4-5 years, I want to say. And sometimes they live in my house for a couple weeks. I've caught some that are up to like 3 inches long. At first I thought I was like tripping when I saw the first one because we don't have any lizards here. But I've caught many of them now, and they're pretty cool creatures. They eat bugs. I like them. but they're not supposed to be here. I mean, I like them. They're not really an invasive species, but they come from the Middle East, and there's nothing about Maryland that's really their natural habitat. So who knows? I think
that's
they
another
got shipped here.
Another reason to close the borders and stop this whole globalism, free trade garbage.
Yeah.
Because now we have murder hornets here.
Yeah.
Because of globalism.
Yep. Thank your local politician for the murder hornets.
So now we're gonna have in a couple of months, as soon as we're open from coronavirus, it's gonna be, oh no, stay-at-home order. Don't go outside. There's murder hornets flying around everywhere.
You got to stay inside for a few months while we round up all these bees.
Yeah.
Well, at least we'll be able to see the bees and like know if the bee is attacking us. And with the coronavirus, it's a mystery. So
yeah.
Very cool.
Well, it seems like the fatality rate is less than half a percent.
Yeah, well, I saw interesting numbers. Less than 0.5% that's even lower than I thought. But yeah, I saw from I think it was CDC numbers that it was 60,000 was the number they were quoting for a while. Maybe it's gone up somewhat by now. But a few days ago they were quoting 60,000 deaths. But when you look at ones that were only COVID-19 and not no other flu. They were grouping together flu and coronavirus deaths and coming up with about 60,000, when the actual coronavirus deaths were like 11,000. So it was like, and of course all the cable news TV, they go with the big number. So they're all saying, oh, there's 60,000 deaths or 70,000 deaths in the U.S. When in reality it's more like 10 or 15,000 that are only coronavirus. So it's a much lower number than they're giving out. And we haven't tested everyone to see, once we start testing everyone to see who's already gotten it and survived it, which a lot of people don't get symptoms, or they're very mild symptoms, they don't go to the doctor. That number is, for me, the mortality rate is going to be going way down. So,
yeah,
I mean,
well, that's kind of what I was basing the 0.5% on, because I know there was a study done in California and I think in New York, which basically showed that the virus is a heck of a lot more transmittable than we thought. More people have it, but the symptoms are just, I mean, most people tend to have very mild or no symptoms at all. So
yeah.
But you know what? If you smoke cigarettes or vape, just get that nicotine in you.
Apparently,
you only have a
that'll cure ya.
1.8 chance of getting hospitalized for it. So
Wait, I thought smoking was supposed to make you sicker.
no, it actually,
The nicotine helps?
nicotine apparently. So only 1.9% of hospitalizations are smokers.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's lower than the national percentage of, I don't know what it's at now. It's kind of low, but it's like 15% or 20% of the nation smokes, so.
Yeah, so it seems like there is something about nicotine that actually reduces the symptoms. So initially, when it came out that smoking is something you didn't want to do, I quit smoking.
Yep.
And then as soon as I saw Tucker cover that study about smoking actually helps,
Like,
I started smoking. I went out and bought it back.
I mean, you might die of cancer, but hey, at least it won't be coronavirus.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, you know what? What about just injecting nicotine? That sounds like a possible treatment, right?
Yeah, maybe it can work as a like a disinfectant.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We just get a syringe full and just. I mean, it works for Clorox, right? So.
It's true. It's true. Well, you know, I think that's all we got this week. Anything else you want to throw out there before we?
No, I think we ran out of good content a while ago. So. But it's been fun. So.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to Saints Edwards Media's edition of Hearth and Fire. We are no longer Britannium Times. This is Saints Edward Media. And while you're at it, go check out the website, saintsedwardmedia.com. You know, there is a donate link there that takes you to our Patreon. If you give us $5 a month, we'll even let you join our Telegram chat. So Nick Leonard loves our Telegram chat. Isn't that right, Nick?
I'm on all the time. You know? I check it.
But we do have a public Telegram channel, too.
Oh, we do?
And the Twitter, which I can't remember the handle. Hang on, I can tell you in a sec. Let me look. It's pretty bad. I should remember
really
the
good
handle.
at promo here. Well, at least our ads aren't annoying because we don't even know what we're advertising. Hey, and you know what? If you have a business and you'd like to advertise with us, we might remember to throw in a spot for you, so consider it. We'll advertise for fairly cheap, I think. I don't know. Just start the bidding wherever you want, and I'll consider it.
So we're at Saints Ed News on Twitter. Big following. 29 followers right now. Huge.
Wow. I'll have
Huge.
to actually go log on to Twitter and follow that.
Yeah.
I don't ever use Twitter, so.
It's we're also on Parler. I think it's Saints Ed News on Parler. Not that anybody uses Parler except for MAGA boomers.
Oh, there you
But
go. Never heard of it, so guess I'm not a MAGA boomer.
it's a free speech platform.
Ah, yes. I'm on like 10 of those, but the main problem is that no one uses them, so.
It's all people that have been kicked off of Twitter.
Okay. We've got Minds and Gab and VK and...
Well, VK is made by the same people that made Telegram. It's Russian.
Yeah, it's Russian Facebook.
Yeah. But I think I'd rather be... I mean, I like... Parler's an American company. I like it, honestly.
Yeah.
Laura Loomer's on there.
Yeah. Minds is a decent platform, but yeah, it's not that many people who use it. Same thing with BitChute.
I like
but,
BitChute.
You know, go ahead and support them, and maybe one day they will replace Facebook and it'll be good.
I don't know. Part of it, you know, as much as we complain about censorship, we're doing it too. We just keep going back to the same freaking platform, you know?
I know.
So,
Facebook is the devil you can't get away from.
I understand both arguments. You know, you want to be where everybody is, to maximize your audience.
Yeah.
But on the same note, we're kind of rewarding them for poor behavior.
It's true, but you know, they don't there's no real value in censorship only matters if they're cutting you off from a big audience. So by self-segregating into small websites that nobody uses, we're kind of already censoring ourselves. So, I mean, until we actually get a legitimate, good free speech platform out there, you know, you might as well use both. A lot of people do, you know, if you've been kicked off of Facebook, go to Minds or something. But, yeah, it won't.
Yeah.
None of them are really valid alternatives until they have as many people as Facebook. So
True. At least I have one foot in the door, so you know, it's worth, I guess, kind of having beforehand, you know.
yeah,
So I like Telegram's like my favorite of all of them. So, as you know.
yeah,
But it's also more of a. So it has public channels, but it functions better as just a chat app, I guess.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Whatever.
I'm on Discord all the time, but and we do technically have a Discord channel, but I think I'm literally the only one on it, so nothing ever happens on it. But eventually, maybe we'll. Though you know, Jay Dyer's got a good big Discord channel, and Discord is great for. Well, it's a good platform. The only problem is that it's invite only, so you know, you don't really have to worry about censorship, but you do have to worry about nobody finding you, and nobody will find you unless you advertise it or other people invite other people. So
Yeah, well.
but I like Discord a lot. It's nice. Everything is completely vetted, basically. You know, nobody is there that you don't know. You can control whether or not people are allowed in your server, and it's pretty nice. Yeah. You have the ban hammer.
Our Telegram chat is only people that have been on the show and patrons. So
Very exclusive.
and I'm actually about to add a feature. If you do $25 or more, we're gonna let you on the show, at least once.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
We're very
not live stream.
Yeah, very cheap advertising. Get in while it's good. In a few months, we're gonna be charging thousands of dollars to come on the show. So
Yeah, you know.
if you want the opportunity, now's your time.
But you know, it would actually be very helpful to have some more patrons, because I would like to pay my writers, you know.
I'd like to get paid.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I don't want to have
the
I don't want to do a paywall. I don't want to do all that BS. So.
That wouldn't work right now. But
No.
I am sad, speaking of paywalls, that you can no longer find you know, our great based zoomer Soph, the little YouTuber. well, she got kicked off of YouTube, and she joined Gavin McInnes's platform.
You have to pay.
Free speech TV, yeah, but you have to pay. And it's like, man, I literally would only want to watch her videos, basically. I don't care that much about Gavin McInnes. And I think it's like $10 a month or $14 a month. And it's like, for like, what, one or two videos a month? No way. But
Yeah, I don't know. I met him at CPAC.
I mean, he's a cool guy. I'd love to hang out with him. But I don't really care that. Like, he's got enough content on YouTube. If I want to watch his show, I can watch it there. I don't really need exclusive access to his show. Not a fanboy.
But Milo's on there too.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple people, but I don't really want to watch Milo. And again, you can find him on YouTube if you want, so. Yeah.
True. Well,
But if Milo would like to come on the show, we'd love to have him. So.
well, you never know. Maybe. I'll have to mess with Professor Brown, right?
Yeah, we
Professor Brown.
already interviewed his teacher, who
Teacher.
where he gets all of his ideas. So we already talked to her straight from the source, and she's much more polite and respectable than Milo is.
She loves him, man.
I
But
know.
anyway,
All right.
I think that's it for
That's
this
it.
week. So thank you, folks, for tuning in, and we will see you next week.